Right now, details about murder charges filed against a Montgomery County, Kansas woman. Plus, the second annual Black Expo kicks off in Joplin. We have the details. And how the city of Miami is celebrating Pride Month. KOM News at 9 starts now. Murder charges are filed against a Montgomery County, Kansas woman. Thank you for joining us. I'm Bronte Sorotsky. Authorities say Megan McCutcheon was involved in a 2019 shooting in Montgomery County that led to the death of Kimberly Meeks. Earlier this year, McCutcheon's brother, Benjamin Mason, was sentenced to life in prison for shooting and killing Meeks. Authorities say even though she did not fire a weapon in the shooting, she was the alleged driver of the car where the gun was shot. They say under Kansas law, she will now be charged with premeditated attempted first-degree murder and premeditated first-degree murder by aiding Mason in the shooting. McCutcheon was already an inmate at the Topeka Correctional Facility for drug and theft charges. The Mini Hackney Community Service Center is celebrating their inaugural Juneteenth celebration of Southwest Missouri. They held what they called a living history event where different people portrayed historical figures such as Ida B. Wells, Josephine Sloan Yates, and others.
It really makes me understand how far we have come, but also still how far we still need to go. You know, some of the things that Ida B. Wells, for instance, stood for, we still deal with today.
Reporter Jalen Banks will have more on the celebration later. Well, today is the Easttown Dream District is hosting the second annual Black Expo at the Empire Market. The event aims to invite the community together in celebration of Juneteenth weekend while giving African American vendors and small business owners an opportunity to exposure.
It is for the small businesses that are underutilized in our area. Also different organizations that are underutilized. They don't have the advertising budget, and so we are putting this on behalf of Juneteenth, which is Sunday, but this is our day for it today.
You can find more on this story on our website on KOAMnewsnow.com. Miami Pride Fest kicked off at Riverview Park today. With 50 vendors, live music, food trucks, and bounce houses, the grand marshal of the event was this year's 2022 Miss Gay Oklahoma America. She led the march around the park to symbolize unity and support.
It's the perfect time for us to really just celebrate who we are, and especially being boxed in such a small town, it gives everybody an opportunity to do what they love and be who they love to be.
If you want to learn more about the Miami NEO Pride, you can visit our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Now it's tossed over to Nick Kelly with a look at the weather.
Wish we didn't have to, Bronte, because we could just replay yesterday's first weather all over again because we've been stuck in the same weather ride. We had quiet skies for most of you this evening, even before sunset from 7th and Rangeline, but that clear sky led us from 72, at least a break from the heat this morning, and then right back into it with a high of 96 at Joplin Regional this afternoon. Fortunately, for a couple spots, the heat and the bit of humidity that we did have, coupled with the weak system trying to pass on through, resulted in some isolated thunderstorms, mainly along and south of 44, and they've been actually moving from east to west because of the upper level winds steering them in said direction. As once we go deeper into the night, though, any rogue showers trying to hold on, they'll be long gone, certainly by the time we head towards sunrise on your Sunday morning. I think mostly clear skies are out the entire day tomorrow. That'll take us from 71 in the morning to afternoon highs in the lower 90s. So a better improvement, Bronte, in terms of temperatures, and the humidity stays in check too. But we'll see if this trend holds as we look at the rest of the week here in a few.
All right, thanks, Nick. Record high gas prices and rising inflation continuing to take a toll on President Biden in the polls. His approval rating dropped below 40% as Americans pay more and more for everyday goods. Fox News correspondent Lucas Tomlinson has that story from the White House.
President Biden fell off his bicycle while going for a ride Saturday morning in Rehoboth Beach. He appeared to be unharmed. He got up rather quickly, spoke to locals and some other spectators. The press was there to capture it. Many economists say the economy won't recover as quickly.
I'm using every lever available to me to bring down prices for the American people. These actions are part of our transition to a clean and secure long-term energy future. And the good news is climate security and energy security go hand in hand.
As the price of gasoline has skyrocketed, Biden's poll numbers have plummeted. His approval rating has sunk to just 39%, with nearly half of Americans strongly disapproving of his job performance. According to a new USA Today Suffolk poll, only 16% of Americans strongly approve of the president. And a new Fox News poll shows half the country blames the Biden administration for the spike in gas prices. About 3 in 10 Americans blame Putin. About 13% blame both Biden and Putin. With gas prices spiking and a trip to Saudi Arabia planned next month, many Americans want Biden to call for more ramped-up oil production here in the United States. Biden responded to the criticism.
I've contacted them, with my team has, to ask what their plans are and to give any suggestions they have. They have over 9,000 leases. 9,000. They can drill so the hell won't have it, but they're not doing it.
According to the Oil and Gas Journal, U.S. oil production in the month of May was about 20 million barrels per day. That's within 3% of the all-time high set in January of 2020 before the pandemic, meaning according to the oil industry, they're already pumping at about max capacity. At the White House, Lucas Tomlinson, Fox News.
We take this time to honor one of our many four-state heroes. Michael Scott served in the U.S. Army from 2002 to 2004. His hometown, Edna, Kansas. We salute Specialist Michael Scott, four-state hero. Well, coming up,
a CDC panel recommends COVID vaccines for the very youngest Americans. I'm Jonathan Seri in Atlanta. I'll have details coming up.
U.S. lawmakers urge a popular search engine to stop directing women away from abortions they're seeking. 21 congressional Democrats want Google to stop showing results for crisis pregnancy centers when searching for abortion clinics or pills. A study last week found 11% of searches for abortion near me or abortion pill sent Google users to these centers, which steer women away from getting an abortion. The study also found 28% of ads and 37% of Google Maps results were for anti-abortion centers. Two big retailers are recalling over-the-counter medicines because of improper packaging. Kroger's and Walgreens are recalling more than 400,000 packages of pain relievers combined because packaging isn't child-resistant. Kroger is recalling more than 269,000 bottles of acetaminophen, aspirin, and ibuprofen, and Walgreens is recalling 300 units of acetaminophen bottles. The Poison Prevention Act requires such medicines to be child-resistant. Another COVID vaccine rollout is on the horizon, as the CDC is now on the verge of officially approving the shot for the very youngest Americans. Fox News correspondent Jonathan Seri has the details.
A CDC advisory panel voting Saturday to recommend COVID vaccines for children under 5, which would make them the last age group to qualify for the shots. The recommendation comes after a separate FDA panel earlier this week gave the thumbs up to vaccinating young kids.
There are 18.7 million children that we just now authorized to get vaccinated.
Pfizer vaccinations would need 3 smaller doses, while Moderna just 2. Both vaccines were shown to produce antibody levels similar to those seen in adults in clinical trials.
These vaccines work remarkably well, and they're remarkably safe. So I can't think of a reason why we shouldn't be immunizing our young children.
Moderna says its vaccine is 51% effective in children 6 through 24 months and 37% effective in kids ages 2 to 5. Pfizer boasts overall 80% effectiveness in children under 5. The last age group to be authorized was kids 5 to 11. So far, getting shots into arms of younger Americans has been a slow process.
Each age range, I think we haven't done as well as the one previous. So, initially the teenagers, we did pretty well.
Doctors say parents will not be charged for the shots, even if they don't have insurance. States could begin providing immunizations as early as next week. In Atlanta, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
Later, details about the Road to Majority Conference held in Tennessee.
It was nice that we finally got lows back in the lower 70s this morning, but once we hit the afternoon, it was just the same weather story yet again for another afternoon. After yesterday's lows in the lower to middle 70s, mid-90s for highs the other day, we dropped back again, lower 70s this morning, and then everybody pushed back at least to 95 degrees. If you remember from earlier with the almanac, Joplin Regional topping out at 96 degrees. Thankfully, all of that heat and humidity, it wasn't high enough for heat advisors, with the exception earlier this evening for Anderson and Coffee counties. Thankfully for tomorrow, the humidity stays in check, so we're not going to have any heat advisories to worry about. But the heat and humidity with an incoming storm system has actually spawned some isolated thunderstorms, mainly in our southern counties, mainly along and south of US 400 and south of 160 on the Missouri side. But you can see these storms not holding on long as we got past sunset, and the few little guys that are still trying to hold on around the Joplin area per se, they're going to continue to fade away as we go deeper into the evening. Here's how we look before sunset this evening. Certainly most of us looked nice to start this evening out, in addition to the 7th and range line as well. But let me show you the setup overall, including the upper levels, because it's quite fascinating really what's trying to come on through. It's actually a frontal system that's been trying to work in from the east. Normally we see systems come in from the west, but what's also interesting is this upper level high. It's still in charge. That kept us hot again today, no doubt about it, but the steering winds clockwise around the high, that's what's forced those isolated storms and showers to move from east to west. So that is why we've seen the odd movement with these storms, but overall that upper level ridge, that's still going to be the main driver in terms of our weather as we go through not just tomorrow throughout the weekend, throughout much of next week, quite frankly. As far as where we go from here, we'll be quiet for the overnight hours, and overnight lows underneath eventually mostly clear skies all around will drop back to 71 degrees. Going throughout the day tomorrow, we'll keep that breeze light, sometimes out of the south, other times out of the southeast at 5 to 10. That'll push us to 86 by noon, highs near 91. In fact, everybody should go into the lower 90s for afternoon highs to wrap up the weekend tomorrow. The heat indices, thankfully, they're not going to be terribly high. They'll stay under 100, but still it'll feel a bit hotter, feeling like the mid to upper 90s across much of the area. A little bit of a break again for Monday morning, but with highs again back in the lower 90s and that little bit of humidity. It'll feel like the mid 90s as we keep quiet for Monday. Then it gets a little bit interesting as we head toward the middle of the week. Tuesday, it stays dry as that upper level ridge shifts around once again, but it wants to be squashed far enough to the south where a weak frontal system at the surface and an additional wave upstairs could allow for some isolated thunderstorm chances Wednesday, Thursday, and even as we go into Friday. But you can see, even as we throw those rain chances into the forecast, it is not going to scrub out the heat. At least we'll be at 91 for your Father's Day and Juneteenth tomorrow. 91 Monday, mid-90s Tuesday and Wednesday, and unfortunately, Bronte, we could be seeing upper 90s for highs once again as we go into next weekend.
Oh man, you were saying, 90s isn't too bad, but I mean, that's still pretty hot. I guess for around here, but...
Yeah, it all depends on how you look at it. Believe it or not, like some people really like this kind of weather, but at least we're keeping the humidity in check, so it's not going to feel like you're walking into a sauna tomorrow.
Definitely. All right, thanks, Nick. Well, if your signal of KOAM or Fox 14 becomes glitchy this week, it's a sign of progress. We will be broadcasting from a lower temporary antenna while a crew installs a new, more technically advanced antenna at the top of our tower. It's the final step in our More Power project. This will allow some viewers who previously lost our signal to get us once again. And if all goes to plan, we'll be back up and stronger than ever soon. Well, Faith and Freedom Coalition holds their final Road to Majority conference in Tennessee. Those details next. The Faith and Freedom Coalition is holding its Road to Majority conference this weekend in Nashville, Tennessee. Prominent Republicans taking the stage to outline their plan to retake Congress this fall, as well as some hopefuls who have their eyes set on the White House in 2024. Fox News correspondent Rich Edson has that story from Nashville.
If Republicans net one seat, they'll gain control of the Senate. And it's a close race in Georgia. Republican Herschel Walker is running against incumbent Senator Raphael Warnock. Walker has recently admitted to 3 additional children he'd not publicly discussed. Walker has been a fierce critic of absentee fathers. His campaign claims he supports all his children. Walker, speaking here before the Faith and Freedom Coalition, addressed the controversy.
Well, first of all, they knew the truth. You know, I've never denied any of my kids, and I love them more than I love anything. And they didn't do anything that just made me want to fight harder, because I'm tired of people misleading the American people. I'm tired of people misleading my family.
This is the final of 3 days of the Road to the Majority Conference. Congressional Republicans and former Trump administration officials have been speaking here, trying to boost the party ahead of this year's midterms. Former President Donald Trump also spoke. He gave the keynote address yesterday. He spent much of his speech on unsubstantiated claims of widespread election fraud in 2020, an issue many senior Republicans are urging him to move on from. He also teased running again in 2024. Former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley gave the keynote address Thursday. She's one of the anticipated potential Republican presidential candidates. In an exclusive interview, she told us she doesn't have to make up her mind about running yet. We also asked her whether the former president's focus on 2020 was productive.
You know, I mean, I think that's up to him. He feels heartburn over that, but we have to really focus on the fact that the American people are hurting. Their wallets are hurting.
Former Vice President Mike Pence is typically a regular at Faith and Freedom Coalition events. He's not here this year. A source close to Pence says he was invited, though is speaking at an energy roundtable in Ohio instead. The source also points out that Pence was with the Faith and Freedom Coalition in North Carolina a few weeks ago. In Nashville, Tennessee, Rich Edson, Fox News.
Coming up, a day to celebrate for all anglers out there. We'll tell you what the unofficial national holiday of today was. You can celebrate an unofficial holiday with dear old dad this Saturday before you celebrate Father's Day on Sunday. Today is National Go Fishing Day. The day encourages us all to take a break from the daily routine and relax by dropping a line in a nearby body of water. According to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, recreational fishing is more popular than ever before. The agency reports over 55 million people turned to fishing to deal with stress in 2020, the highest number in over a decade. Recreational fishing has also gotten more diverse, with more women, children, and minorities taking up the sport. Coming up in the second half hour, 4 staters got the opportunity to tour a mausoleum. Those details next.
How the Mini Hackney Community Service Center is going about celebrating Juneteenth. I'm Jalen Banks with more on the story.
Plus, some 4 staters got the opportunity to tour a mausoleum. In details about the United States sending $1 billion in aid to Ukraine. The Mini Hackney Community Service Center is celebrating their inaugural Juneteenth celebration of Southwest Missouri. KOAM's Jalen Banks visited the celebration and has more.
The Mini Hackney Community Service Center has been serving the Joplin community for over 75 years. And today they're celebrating their inaugural Juneteenth celebration of Southwest Missouri. Juneteenth is a day that celebrates the emancipation of enslaved African Americans. Its first celebration dates back to 1866 and became a federal holiday in 2021. The Mini Hackney Community Center is putting on a living history event where they are portraying African American historical figures such as Ida B. Wells, Josephine Sloan Yates, and others.
What I'm hoping the most is that young children understand that people that look like them went on to do really amazing things in the state that we live in. A lot of times we separate ourselves from historical figures and think, oh, I can't do that, they're so big. They started out just like you and I.
The group hopes that the next generation can learn from today and pass what they have learned on to each other.
So we're really hoping that this is the beginning of learning more about Juneteenth. And so we're doing, as you can see, they're doing an art project, painting the Juneteenth flag. We talked about the symbolism that goes along with that flag. So just to take some things from today and be able to share and move forward and hopefully build memories.
In Joplin, at the Mini Hackney Community Service Center, Jalen Banks, KOAM News.
I grew up in Murfreesburg. My great-grandmother's house is over there. And so
chance to tour a mausoleum today. The Historic Murfreesburg Preservation partnered with the Webb City Historic Preservation Commission to provide the tours. Visitors had the opportunity to hear directly from the spirits of early 20th century Joplin and Webb City influencers. The tour also included theatrical vignettes, historical reenactors, musical entertainment, and refreshments.
I grew up in Murfreesburg, and my great-grandmother's house is over there. And so and I've been doing this since it first started. So to help people learn and understand what it means to preserve our history.
If you want to learn more about the history of Mount Hope Cemetery, you can visit our website at koamnewsnow.com. Schiffer-Decker Golf Course partners with Emancipation Celebration Committee for the 5th annual charity golf tournament. Teams of 4 teed off to raise money for the Park Day celebration that's held in August. There was food, prizes, and drawings throughout the day. Also, one lucky winner had the chance to hit the $1 million hole-in-one.
The main goal is, like I said, just to put on this tournament and support our Park Day event in the 4th of August coming up here this summer.
The drawing for the $1 million hole-in-one shot gave someone the opportunity to get a shot for a 20-year annuity for $40,000 a year for $1 million. And now Nick Kelly joins us with another look at our weather.
And not much has changed, Bronte, really throughout the course of this week. It's been hot at times. It's been very humid throughout parts of this week, but at least we backed up on the humidity just a tad for this afternoon. But once we got out of the lower 70s this morning, Joplin Regional pushing 96 for an afternoon high, and a lot of us pushing to the mid-90s easily this afternoon. For a couple lucky few of you, though, the heat and the humidity that we did have resulted in some isolated thunderstorms, mainly focused on our southern counties. But as we continue to work past sunset, whatever is left of these little guys will just continue to fall apart as we go deeper into the overnight. Ultimately, mostly clear to start your Sunday morning out, lows dropping back to 71, so at least another break from the heat to start your Sunday out. But then we'll go right back to 91 for tomorrow. Heat indices in check. It'll feel like the mid-90s, but not as humid as it's been throughout the course of this week, Bronte. But we'll see if the heat wants to stick around for the week ahead here in a few.
All right, thanks, Nick. A bizarre security breach at the U.S. Capitol complex results in 7 arrests of members of a production team tied to The Late Show with Stephen Colbert on CBS. Congressional correspondent Chad Pergram reports.
A bizarre security breach. The Late Show team came to interview 3 House Democrats, including Adam Schiff, but they overstayed their welcome and were busted by U.S. Capitol Police. In a statement, CBS says the production team came to Capitol Hill to do interviews for a comedy segment with Triumph the Insult Comedy Dog, voiced by Robert Smigel. He's also known for his work on Saturday Night Live's TV Funhouse animated shorts. CBS says the interviews were prearranged with congressional offices. Fox is told on Thursday morning they interviewed 1-6 committee members Adam Schiff and Stephanie Murphy, along with Democratic Massachusetts Representative Jake Auchincloss. Auchincloss is not on the committee. Capitol Police shooed the group away from the 1-6 committee hearing area because they did not have proper press credentials. Fox is told they requested credentials weeks ago, but the House Radio TV Gallery denied them credentials because they are comedy and not news. At some point, the group left the House office buildings. But Fox is told the team was then let back into the Longworth House office building by an aide to Auchincloss sometime after 4 p.m. Thursday. Fox is told the aide thought they had more interviews to do. The team remained in the House office buildings unescorted for hours. The group was arrested after the building closed. The arrest came around 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. They were near the office of GOP Colorado Representative Lauren Boebert. Capitol Police say they arrested 7 people and charged them with unlawful entry. In a statement, Capitol Police say, quote, "The building was closed to visitors and these individuals were determined to be part of a group that had been directed by the Capitol Police to leave the building earlier in the day." This comes after the 1-6 committee released a video of GOP Georgia Representative Barry Loudermilk giving what the panel termed as surveillance tours 1 day ahead of the riot last year. Republicans now claim that Democrats have no leg to stand on when it comes to Capitol security.
It's ironic that Democratic staffers, not even members of Congress, Democratic staffers who work for Adam Schiff and others, they're the ones who brought people in that ended up getting arrested by Capitol Police. That's saying something.
One person shown in the video made threats on camera to prominent Democrats the day of the riot, but he was never charged. The 1-6 committee has 2 more hearings next week. Chad Pergram, Fox News.
The U.S. is sending an additional $1 billion to Ukraine as heavy fighting continues for control of the eastern and southern parts of the country. This comes as the European Union approves Ukraine's status as a candidate for membership, putting it one step closer to joining the EU. Fox News correspondent Nate Foy has the latest from Lviv.
President Volodymyr Zelensky visiting the southern port city of Mykolaiv today, which is not far from the front lines. Kherson is nearby, which is under Russian control. This is the second time that President Zelensky has visited the front lines in the past 2 weeks, the other time being in Kharkiv about 2 weeks ago in the country's northeast. Take a look at the president's visit today. He met with soldiers, handed out awards to them. He also received progress reports on the front line as Ukrainians defend their land and access to the Black Sea. Also, he met with non-military leaders, talking about infrastructure damage, restoring water supply, and agriculture. This comes after a very successful week politically for President Zelensky. He met with multiple EU leaders and secured a recommendation for candidate status by the European Commission to join the EU. Take a listen to President Zelensky talking about how important that is.
Only one step away from fully-fledged integration into the EU. We have a positive assessment from the European Commission concerning candidate status for Ukraine, and it is a historic achievement for all who work for our country.
That decision will come this week on Thursday and Friday when EU leaders officially vote. Remember, it needs to be a unanimous decision, so all 27 countries in the EU need to sign off on that. Meanwhile, fighting continues today. Russian missiles have destroyed a fuel depot in the eastern Ukrainian town of Muskowsk. That's according to the regional governor there. And the real key focal point continues to be Severodonetsk, where 80% of that city is under Russian control, but it is still disputed. Ukrainian defense officials say that Russians are using 10 times the amount of artillery rounds that they are, so more military aid is certainly a good thing for the Ukrainian side. Reporting in Lviv, Ukraine, I'm Nate Foy, Fox News.
Coming up, a look at the new program the NYPD K9 unit is starting. Fox News gets an exclusive look at the NYPD's Transit Enhanced Detection Dog program. K9s are wearing these tread harnesses to better find unconventional explosive devices on the city's public transportation system. Alexis McAdams is in New York City, where she got to watch units take the new tech out for a spin.
The NYPD is the only police department in the world that uses transit enhanced detection dogs, or TREAD, which makes people on the subway systems feel a little safer and also adds an extra layer of security to the bomb sniffing dog. Take a look there on your screen. This is the new technology that we're talking about, which was created by the NYPD. The department worked with a private tech company to create a special dog harness equipped with electronics. The sensors inside of that harness enable the canine officer to detect radiation and other chemical or even biological agents that a dog's nose just can't. NYPD Lieutenant John Pappas says the tech advancement was necessary in the fight against terrorism.
International terror organizations like Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and many others were intentionally creating a gap in our detection capability specific to the dog. They were kind of gearing it to avoid detection by a dog. So they started to create unconventional explosive devices.
Each harness has multiple sensors that send readings to a mobile command post in real time. Then the officers can actually track those readings and respond accordingly.
So I can stay in one location, I can track them all over. So if we have a team that's in Brooklyn or a team that was sent to Manhattan, I can pull them up and see where they are at the same time without being on scene and get all the readings and information from them.
The NYPD has shared this new technology with police departments and the military around the world. In New York City, I'm Alexis McAdams, Fox News.
Another look at the forecast next.
It was nice to get a little bit of a break from the heat this morning, but like yesterday's highs in the mid-90s, that's exactly where a lot of us, quite frankly, topped out at once again. So not much in the way of the difference as far as temperatures go after we hit the mid-90s the other day, lower 70s this morning. Back to 95, officially 96 at Joplin Regional. In fact, everybody went into the mid-90s this afternoon. However, we didn't deal with so much in the way of humidity. That's why we didn't have a lot in the way of heat advisories in place. It still felt kind of humid, though, during the peak heating of the afternoon. But for a lucky few of you, with a weak system coming through, or trying to come on through, that is, we saw the heat and that humidity result in some isolated thunderstorms that normally we don't see them working from the east to the west. But that is what the storms this evening did. But as we continue to work past sunset, you can see how any outflow from the storms, especially coming out of Springfield, tried to hold on as they worked their way toward the west. But once we continue to get past sunset, we are losing any heat or any fuel for these slight thunderstorm chances to survive. So with much of the area quiet, that's how everyone's going to stay as we go throughout the course of the night. So a lot of you are looking like this. Certainly we did before sunset. Not too long ago from 7th and Rangeline. But let me show you the surface map so I can tell you, or show you rather, here's that weak system. It's trying to pass on through, but it's going to fall apart as it does. But again, what really steered the storms from the east to the west today was the upper level winds. The upper ridge of high pressure kept us hot once again, but there was enough of weakness in the ridge for at least a few of those isolated storms, and that clockwise flow pushing those storms from east to west. In general, that's what's going to drive our main weather, though, throughout the course of the coming week. On the plus side, though, we'll get another break from the heat as we go into your Sunday morning. You can see how some of us could sneak into the upper 60s, but in general, we'll drop back near 70, 71 degrees with mostly clear skies to start your Sunday morning out. Then the rest of the day is looking fine. No slight rain chances to worry about. 86 by noon. Highs near 91 with a light breeze out of the south and even southeast during the afternoon at 5 to 10 miles per hour. You can see how everybody will go into the lower 90s under mostly sunny skies for tomorrow. Heat indices. It's going to feel like the mid to some upper 90s, but it's a lot better than the mugginess that we felt during the course of this week. Another break in the action on Monday before we go right back to feeling like we're in the mid 90s with another day hot and not so humid to kick off the new work week. But again, it's all about this upper ridge. It's going to keep us hot as we go into Tuesday, but we're dry for Tuesday. Heading into Wednesday, though, the ridge shifts around enough to allow for a weak system to graze us to the north. That could give us some slight isolated thunderstorm chances Wednesday, Thursday, and maybe a passing storm early on Friday. But in general, as long as we're underneath that upper level ridge, you know the drill, unfortunately, for those that don't like this type of weather. We'll go from 91 on your Father's Day and Juneteenth for tomorrow, 91 for Monday, mid-90s Tuesday and Wednesday, 93 on Thursday, and pushing into the upper 90s for Friday and Saturday, Bronte. So even if we can cash in on some of those slight rain chances Wednesday through Friday, it's not going to scrub out the heat anytime soon.
Does not seem like it. Not looking forward to those temperatures, but thank you, Nick.
All right.
And don't forget, you can be the first to know about the day's weather with the KOAM Skywatch weather app. Get severe weather updates sent straight to your phone free of charge. It's available in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store, the KOAM Skywatch weather app. Coming up in sports, Arkansas tries to take down the #2 team in the country. Plus, the Midwest Mustangs face NBA in the Pitt State Tournament. Danny Terzer has those highlights next.
The Midwest Mustangs are back in action today at the Pitt State Tournament. The Mustangs enter the day with a win and a tie. Today they face off against NBA. Cam Custer gets the offense going, smacks it into center for a double. Logan Myers scores on the play. Then Cade Beshore hits a line drive to left. That brings Custer home. 2-0 Mustangs after 2. Next inning, bases loaded for Myers. He gets it to drop for an RBI single. To the 4th now, NBA loads the bases this time. Colt Ungehauer gets a strikeout to get out of the jam. He goes the distance today. Bottom half, Mustangs build on their lead. Alex Kester sends it through the gap in right. Another run scores. Mustangs run away with it, winning 9-1. They will play for the championship tomorrow. College World Series, Arkansas playing Stanford. Excitement from the first pitch of the game. Braden Webb hits it deep to the wall. The ball actually hits off the outfielder's head there. It's a triple for Webb. He later scores off a sac fly. Cardinals tie it in the bottom half. Brock Jones homers to left, but that is nearly all the offense Stanford has in them today. All Arkansas from here on out. 5th inning, 2 on. Chris Lanzilli sends it out of the park. Razorbacks score 5 in the inning, and in the 9th, it's another big one for the Hogs. Caden Wallace, 2-run blast. Arkansas silences 2-ranked Stanford, 17-2 the final. In the majors, Kansas City tries to start a little winning streak. They have won back-to-back games, including the series opener against the A's on Friday. Game 2 of 3 in Oakland, Brad Keller dealing on the mound, strikes out the side here in the 2nd. He pitches 7 shutout innings with 6 strikeouts and allows just 1 hit. Still scoreless here in the 7th, Ryan O'Hearn off the bench goes down the line for a double. Michael A. Taylor scores from 3rd. Royals add 1 more in the 9th. Whit Merrifield singles. Kyle Isbell scores. Royals make it 3 straight wins. Tonight the final is 2-0. St. Louis plays game 2 of a 3-game set with Boston this evening. The Cards break it open with a 6-run 6th inning. 14 hits in total tonight. They win 11-2 and even the series. That's a look at sports. We're back after this.
It costs a pretty penny to go back to the future, at least if it's a nostalgia purchase. A near mint condition sealed 1986 VHS copy of Back to the Future recently sold for $75,000 at auction. That's a new record selling price for a videotape. The VHS copy was from a collection owned by actor Tom Wilson, who played Biff Tannen in the 80s classic film. The actor had other sealed and graded Back to the Future sequel copies in his collection, offered with personally signed notes.
Wow.
Do you think, would you pay that much for anything like that?
Well, I'm surprised you can get a VHS for that much money, considering I can't find a VCR anywhere anymore.
Right. Maybe it's more like a collector's item, like you kind of show it off.
Yeah, and if we have to sound really old for those that don't know, VHS, those were kind of like DVDs, but like big bulky form, and there was film in there. And
yeah, you might know more about that than me. But anyways, want to take a final check at the weather?
Okay, we are going to stay quiet for tonight, but hot again tomorrow. Thankfully not so humid. Highs are 91.
That's our time for now. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you right back here next time, and thanks for making us part of your night.